Victor the Boss Salazar. Age, 42 years old. Appearance, a tall, muscular man with a neatly groomed beard and several tattoos on his arms, symbolizing his power and experience in the criminal world. He dresses in expensive suits, but prefers more practical clothing. When it comes to street business personality, Victor possesses strong charisma, a leader who is both feared and respected. He has his own principles. He always keeps his word, protects his people, and never forgives betrayal. His strategic thinking and cold calculation allow him to keep complex situations under control. Despite his toughness, he is fair to his people and ready to protect them at any cost. Background: Victor grew up in a poor neighborhood of Los Angeles, where he was involved in street fights and crime from a young age. His ability to quickly make connections and think several steps ahead helped him rise to the top of the criminal world. His path was paved with blood and betrayal, but Victor has never regretted it. He understands that being at the top means always being ready for a fight. Place of birth: East Side, Los Angeles. Family and childhood: Victor was born into a poor Mexican family in the East Side neighborhood. His father worked as a mechanic, always laboring to provide for the family, while his mother tried to raise the children in the Catholic faith, instilling values of goodness and justice. However, the neighborhood where Victor grew up was filled with crime and drugs. In his teenage years, he fell under the influence of local gangs and quickly realized that the world he lived in operated not by the laws of morality, but by the laws of power. Personal tragedy: at the age of 16, Victor lost his younger brother, who was killed by a stray bullet during a gang confrontation. This event shaped his resolve to become strong and never allow himself to be vulnerable. Victor vowed to protect his own and always maintain control over the situation around him. Early steps into crime: at 18, he started working for one of the larger gangs, engaging in petty theft and drug dealing. Thanks to his leadership qualities and sharp mind, he quickly climbed the criminal ladder and soon built his own empire, and merciless to his enemies. Martin the Captain. Age: 50 years old. Appearance: a strict and fit man with a military bearing. His face is lined with wrinkles, but his eyes still have a lively gleam. He usually dresses in formal clothing, preferring leather jackets and a military style that reflects his past. Personality: Martin is a cunning and calculating individual. He has excellent manipulation skills and is able to see people's weaknesses and use them to his advantage. Once a special forces soldier, he developed into an excellent strategist and fighter. He doesn't consider betrayal immoral. For him, it's merely a means to achieve his goals. His main aim is power and control over any situation, and he's willing to do anything to achieve it. Background: after many years of service in the special forces and secret operations, Martin decided to use his skills for personal gain. Leaving the service, he became a mediator and strategist for criminal organizations that needed his expertise. To Martin, life is a game where the main goal is to survive and gain as much as possible. His partnership with Victor was his most ambitious plan to finally step out of the shadows and seize control over the criminal world. Place of birth, Houston, Texas. Family and childhood. Martin grew up in a family with deep military roots. His father was an army officer, and his mother was a doctor. From an early age, Martin dreamed of serving in the military and continuing his family's tradition. At 18, he joined the Special Forces and went through numerous conflicts and secret operations, where he developed leadership skills and the ability to create tactical plans. Betrayal for gain. In the military, Martin gained experience that could easily be monetized in the criminal world. After leaving the service, he struggled to find his place in civilian life. His thirst for power and desire to control his surroundings led him to work with criminal organizations. His connections with law enforcement gave him a sense of untouchability, and he began working as a mediator, organizer, and consultant in major criminal operations. Conflict with Victor. Martin's encounter with Victor happened when he was seeking a partner for a major deal. Victor was wary of Martin, sensing his duplicity and need for control. But Martin managed to convince him that they could be great allies, all while hiding his true intentions. Eddie the Shadow, age 35 years old. Appearance: a fit man in his mid-30s with quick, precise movements. He has sharp facial features and a penetrating gaze that can assess a situation in seconds. He predominantly wears black clothing, which helps him remain unnoticed during operations. Personality: Eddie is a cold-blooded and disciplined hitman. He knows how to wait for the right moment, and he's not easily provoked. His loyalty to Victor is absolute, as Victor once saved him from prison and gave him a chance to start a new life in crime. Eddie doesn't like unnecessary talk. His main advantage is to act quickly and efficiently. Background: Eddie grew up in a military family and was trained in combat and survival from an early age. However, when his father died in battle, Eddie lost his purpose and turned to crime. Victor saw his talent and took him under his wing, teaching him discipline and the art of contract killing. Eddie has never let Victor down and is ready to risk his life for him. Place of birth: Long Beach, California. Family and childhood. Eddie grew up in a military family. His father was a Vietnam War veteran who raised his son under strict military traditions. From childhood, Eddie learned discipline, weapon handling, and hand-to-hand combat. However, his childhood was not happy. His father was strict, and the pressure often caused conflicts within the family. Eddie's mother was a gentle woman who tried to soften her husband's severity, but she wasn't strong enough to balance the rigid upbringing. Loss and search for self. When Eddie was 16, his father died in a car accident. This became a turning point. Without the discipline and support of his father, Eddie left home and began living on the streets. He initially made a living through illegal street fights, gaining experience and a reputation as a fearless fighter. Working for Victor, Victor found Eddie when he was fighting in a street brawl, nearly killing his opponent. Victor saw potential in him and offered Eddie a place on his team. With no better path, Eddie agreed, seeing Victor as a figure who could channel his skills in the right direction. Thus, he became the Shadow, an irreplaceable soldier for Victor. Jenny the Ghost, age 28 years old. Appearance: a young woman with short hair and sharp green eyes. She has a tattoo on her neck, symbolizing freedom and independence. She dresses in a casual style, preferring hoodies and jeans, but always carries a laptop or tablet. Personality: Jenny is independent and smart. A true hacker who knows all the intricacies of computer networks and security. She values her freedom highly and is ready to do anything to preserve it. Jenny is also known for her sense of humor, even in the most tense situations, and can lighten the mood with a single sarcastic comment. Background: Jenny grew up in a troubled family and learned to hack electronic systems early on for fun and survival. When the authorities tried to catch her, Victor found her and offered a deal. Either she works for him and gets protection, or she would be handed over to the police. Since then, Jenny has become part of the team, and her skills have repeatedly saved Victor and his people from danger. Place of birth: San Francisco, California. Family and childhood: Jenny was born into a chaotic family. Her father was a small-time crook and alcoholic who was often absent from home, while her mother, a nurse, worked night shifts to support the family, spending a lot of time alone. Jenny became fascinated with computers at an early age and quickly mastered the internet. First steps in hacking: at the age of 12, she hacked her school's system to change her friends' grades. She was quickly caught, but instead of punishment, the school principal offered her a chance to use her talent for good. For example, to learn programming formally. However, Jenny was a free spirit and didn't want anyone telling her what to do. Encounter with Victor: Jenny got involved in criminal activity when she accidentally crossed paths with a powerful hacker working for criminal organizations. When she was found, Victor offered her protection in exchange for her talents. Thus, she became the Ghost, a virtuoso of computer hacks and electronic security systems for Victor. Marco the Snake: age 38 years old. Appearance: slim, with sharp facial features and a smirk that rarely leaves his face. He always wears expensive clothes and loves accessories, like large rings and watches. His gaze is cunning and provocative, giving those around him a sense of danger. Personality: Marco is a master of manipulation and intrigue. He never plays fair and always looks for a way to get out unscathed, even if it means betraying his own. He has no concept of loyalty. For him, the main thing is to survive and make money. He has a deep understanding of street life and is very skilled at gaining people's trust. Background: Marco was once a small-time con artist and thief, but thanks to his cunning and wits, he became close to major criminal groups. The entire underworld knew his name, and everyone knew that dealing with Marco meant always being on guard. When Martin brought him into Victor's team, Victor was immediately wary, but decided to keep an eye on him to understand how dangerous he could be. If you need any further tweaks or additional details, please let me know. Place of birth: San Diego, California. Family and childhood: Marco grew up in a troubled family. His father left when Marco was still a child, leaving his mother alone to raise him. His mother worked 3 jobs, leaving Marco to fend for himself from an early age. He quickly learned how to survive on the streets, becoming a conman and thief, earning money through petty theft and scams. Talent for manipulation and deceit. Marco was a natural-born manipulator. He could convince anyone to do anything, using his charisma and charm. As a teenager, he gathered his own group of street hustlers and started pulling off larger cons. But each time, he managed to get away clean, putting others in the line of fire. Meeting Martin, Marco met Martin through criminal networks. They quickly bonded, and Martin took Marco under his wing, seeing his potential as someone who could deceive anyone and anything. Marco, eager to climb to the top, agreed to participate in Martin's plans. But he was always prepared to betray even Martin if it was to his advantage. If you need any adjustments or more details added, feel free to let me know. Title: Dirty Money. Chapter 1: An Uninvited Guest. Los Angeles, the city of lights and shadows, where every shining neon sign has its dark side. The main character, Victor the Boss Salazar, is a respected crime lord who controls a number of underground casinos, drug trafficking, and the black market for weapons. Victor is used to solving all problems with either force or money, which makes him untouchable. One day, during a party at his luxurious penthouse, Victor is visited by a mysterious guest, Martin the Captain, a former Special Forces officer who supposedly retired. He comes with an offer that promises huge money, seizing a large shipment of smuggled gold, hidden in an old warehouse on the city's outskirts. But Martin doesn't share this information just for nothing. He promises Victor a cut in exchange for his support in the operation, but doesn't reveal all the details. Chapter 2: The Game Begins. Victor, hungry for power and money, agrees. He gathers his team: Eddie, his trusted hitman with sharp instincts and a quick trigger finger, and Jenny, a talented hacker capable of breaking into any security system. The operation starts with preparation. Victor senses that Martin is hiding something, but the promise of huge profit clouds his suspicions. Things move quickly. Jenny hacks into the warehouse's security system. Eddie monitors the perimeter and takes care of unwanted witnesses. And Victor meets with weapon suppliers for the final stage of the operation. However, Martin's behavior becomes increasingly suspicious. Victor notices that his plans are too detailed, almost as if he knows more about the warehouse than he's letting on. Chapter 3: A Web of Intrigue. Unexpected complications arise during the operation. Martin insists that Victor bring along another person, his friend. Marco is a slippery character, with a smirk that sends chills down Victor's spine, making him feel like he can't be trusted. During the preparation to seize the gold, too much about the warehouse and its security layout, as if he'd been there before. Gradually, Victor begins to understand that Martin is playing a double game. He suspects that the warehouse is not just a storage facility for smuggled gold. Victor decides to uncover the truth by having Jenny hack into Martin's electronic records. She discovers that Martin is working with federal agents and plans to hand Victor and his team over to the authorities after the operation. Chapter 4: The Counter Trap. Victor realizes he's caught in a clever trap. But now he plans to turn the situation to his advantage. He changes the plan at the last moment, not telling Martin or Marco, instead of heading straight for the gold. Victor sends Marco and Martin in first. While they enter the warehouse, Victor and Eddie create a diversion by disabling the cameras and blocking the exits, trapping them inside. Meanwhile, Jenny sends a fake electronic message to distract the feds from the real location of the deal. As soon as Marco and Martin enter the warehouse, thinking everything is going according to plan, Victor emerges from the shadows, revealing that all their schemes have been exposed. Chapter 5: Bloody Reckoning. A shootout ensues. Marco, heavily armed, opens fire, trying to break free. Martin realizes that his plans have fallen apart and tries to negotiate with Victor, offering him a cut of the deal and a guarantee of safety. But Victor is beyond reason. He does not forgive betrayal. During the intense shootout, Eddie is wounded, but Marco is killed. Victor confronts Martin face to face, where Martin confesses that he had always planned to hand Victor over to the feds for his own gain and protection. Victor, coldly staring into the eyes of the traitor, finishes the job. Martin is killed, and now only Victor and his team know what happened that night. Chapter 6: A New Era. The gold was never found. It never existed. It was simply bait for Victor and his team. But he realizes that this false lead helped him eliminate internal enemies and strengthen his authority. Now, Victor is the sole master of the city's underworld, and he understands that being at the top means always staying vigilant. The final scene shows Victor standing on the roof of a skyscraper, overlooking the city that now completely belongs to him, contemplating the battles for power and money that still lie ahead. But now, he is ready for any danger, knowing that his greatest enemies are those closest to him.